On December 14th, we have a new moon and a solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. Also, Venus will be sextile Jupiter. Later that night, that evening, the moon will enter the sign of Capricorn. Let's just stop here and pause and talk about Venus and Jupiter. On the tree of life, Jupiter is assigned to the fourth sphere, which is Hesed. Okay? Right under it, we have the seventh sphere, which is Netzik, and it is assigned to the planet Venus. This is key. Okay? Jupiter, as it is represented in the sphere of Hesed, if you look at the word Hesed, it is C-H-E-S-E-D. Just take the root, C-H-E-S, although we pronounce it Hesed, it's still chest, okay? The chest of Osiris. The fourth sphere on the tree of life represents the gifts you enter an incarnation with, okay? You are bringing those gifts from the supernal realm. The supernal realm on the tree of life are these three. That's the supernals, okay? You're bringing them down into the second triad, okay? These are your gifts that you bring into the world. Netzach is part of the third triad. Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. All right? Jupiter, which is associated with the fourth sphere, Hesed, your gifts, is sextile with Venus, your desires. Your desires. Venus sits across from Hod. Okay? Hod is Mercury. Okay? So desire and imagination. Mind. Okay? When planets are sextile, that's a harmonious relationship. All right? Use your scholastic inference here. If Jupiter is sitting above Venus on this pillar, and this is the pillar of mercy, okay? This is an opportunity for manifestation. In my manifestation guide that's on mastersofthecosmos.com, I talk specifically about Venus and Mercury. Okay? This is not just this is the greatest opportunity of the year, and maybe the greatest opportunity in maybe the last 800 years for manifestation. I'll get to why. Okay? So, next, on the 20th, we've got Mercury will move into Capricorn. All right? The next day, the Sun, now we got two bodies moving into Capricorn. All right? So those two are going to be around 0 degrees. on the winter solstice. All right. That same morning, around, this is 10:20 a.m. it says, I don't know if this book is based on, I think this might be Eastern Standard, but oh, they in their Pacific Standard Time. 10:20 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, roughly. Jupiter and Saturn will conjunct in the sign of Aquarius, 0 degrees Aquarius. Okay? The moon will form a favorable sextile aspect to Pluto. The moon will also later that day enter Aries. Okay, now this is how I'm going to read this for myself. First of all, right now on Patreon, I'm doing a series on my booklet, 2020 and the World to Come. All right, and I've just started, and this video is going to be put on the channel. The first part of the second section of the book, which is numerology from a different perspective. Okay. I invite you, and I think it's well worth. I know it's well worth, joining. You can join at the base level on Patreon and get access to this, because this is pertinent. It's not just information minutia, it is pertinent. You can use it. Okay, I'm talking about 0, right? I'm sorry, I'm talking about numerology, but in that I'm also talking about the nil, which is 0, because the 0 is the birth of numbers. Okay, because from the nothing comes the absolute, from the no thing comes the thing. All right, look, in Hebrew, 0 is Ephes. Okay, in Arabic though, it's Sifr. Sifr is where we get cipher, circle. Sifr also refers to suffering. Listen. Has not the world at large been suffering, and especially the indigenous inhabitants of the planet been suffering? But along with that, in Hebrew, Ephes as 0 is, and when you talk about parts of speech, which is something we're going to really break down on Patreon, the divine grammar. From a grammatical standpoint, 0 is a verb. The 1 in Hebrew, the word for 1 is echid. It is an adjective. It's a modifier. All right. The words assigned to 2 through 10 are nouns. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? I just said the sun is going to be at 0 degrees Capricorn. Mercury is going to be at 0 degrees Capricorn. Jupiter is going to be at 0 degrees Aquarius. Saturn is going to be at 0 degrees Aquarius. All within the 20th and the 21st of December. 0 in Hebrew is a verb. Go back to 4th, 5th grade. What did you learn about a verb? Or 3rd grade, whatever. A verb is action. Action. Capricorn is an angular house. In natural houses, it's the 10th house, okay? But it is still angular. That means it forms the cross. Angular also means it's a place of action. The action represents centrifugal force. Centrifugal is when things, when you look at what's associated with Capricorn is the Baphomet. The Baphomet has one hand up. On his arm is Solve. On the other one is Coagula. Okay? We normally think of Capricorn as representing the coagulation because it's stagnation. Coagulate meaning things are they're bound together, they're stuck. But it also has, on this arm, has Solve. Capricorn is still a sign of action. Centrifugal force, releasing something. Coagulating so something can be released. Okay? And it is releasing the energy into Aquarius. Aquarius is a fixed sign. So that means what has been released will now be coagulated. Centripetal force. Clockwise. Security. Congealing it. So it's funny because it's like what they look like on the surface, they kind of do the opposite. We associate Capricorn with stagnation, lockdown, and so forth, but it's really action. We associate Aquarius with expansion and rebellion associated with the planet Uranus, but it's actually coagulating. It's locking down. The expansion is the lockdown of the action, of the grounded action, locking it into outer space. If that makes sense. So, either way, 0 is action. This is Jupiter and Saturn have not conjuncted in Aquarius for over 800 years. They're going to be at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Mercury and the Sun will be at 0 degrees of Capricorn. In ancient astrology, Capricorn and Aquarius have somewhat of an affinity because they're ruled by the same planet in ancient astrology, Saturn. So they have an understanding. I tend to get along well with Capricorns. I understand them. You know, I understand them. I understand even in my impatience and my sometimes rebellious attitude, I still, there's an understanding of an ancient connection. We can vibe on certain things because there's a Capricorn still inside of me, you know? It's that connection through Saturn. This is a beautiful time to put all of the suffering and the toil and the hard work you've been doing and the not giving up, the not quitting and remaining a visionary even when it seemed that your vision is foolish. This is a great time to put your imagination into action. I invite you to visit mastersofthecosmos.com. Click on Master Students and scroll down. Get yourself the manifestation guide. There's a new moon on the 14th. That's when you take all your thoughts and congeal them into action. All right? I also invite you to join us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/thenosis. And Let's walk into the Aquarian age. All right. As always, stay down till you get up. And when you get up, stay down. Peace.